Blended learning is an approach where technology and elements of online resources are used to deliver traditional classroom teaching. The teacher remains pivotal to the success of this process. Blended learning can be used either within the classroom or at home to reinforce or introduce new topics to your students.
In this video, I hope to demonstrate how blended learning can be used as a resource for flipped learning. This is a very hot topic and very trendy. Simply put, flipped learning just means that learning takes place prior to the lesson, thus enabling far more dedicated use of lesson time to actively promote learning. The idea is that it supports and broadens understanding of a particular topic.
Make sure your activities are appropriate for a flipped learning session. Topics which are too complicated may be difficult to understand. It is important that the tasks are such that the students are able to understand the work. As always, not all topics can be used for flipped learning. It is important to ensure that the task you allocate is one that the students are able to approach and to engage with in order to support their learning. Otherwise, the task will then be incomplete and the students will be disengaged, and flipped learning may not be successful for you in your lessons. Method: carefully select the content you wish to set for your flipped task. Simply giving a task without any planning can result in students being disengaged with the task. Also try and incorporate a mechanism to gauge the learning. A questionnaire, a quiz, or a podcast are great ways to capture the learning, as this is a really essential element within the flipped learning environment. Otherwise, there's no way to gauge that students have actually completed the task or looked at the resources that you've asked them to look at. And there doesn't seem to be a learning involved if there isn't any sort of mechanism in place to get them to try and triangulate the knowledge that they've learned. In this video, I'm going to share with you a resource that I often use for my flipped learning lessons. Many of you will be familiar with TED videos. However, TED is a website where teachers can sign up and you can have your own account with this website, and simply allows you to select any videos from YouTube. You can create your own videos if you would like that, or you can just choose the ones from TED Ed or YouTube. You can share the lessons with your students and track the results. It's an absolutely brilliant tool to use. It really is a spark lesson. The students, when I've set this, have really enjoyed it. It's a different way for them to learn, and students are always keen to use new tools. So simply join TED Ed. You can discover new lessons. You can even ask the students if you would like to create their own lessons. So that would be a really good thing, a really good task to start up in the class, have a particular topic, and then get the students to start their own video, and then other students could answer questions about those videos. So there's quite a lot of different dimensions you can take with this particular tool. So here I have a lesson. I've selected a video. This was made by a colleague. So we put this video up on TED Ed, and simply just given the work a title, a little bit of instructions just to set the scene for the particular video. And I've just added a number of questions based on the video that I would like to ask my students as they go along. So with this particular session, I've decided that I'm going to use multiple choice for my first question, as it's quite a simple question and allows you to choose the correct answer. And then if the student gets it wrong, can actually make a link to the point in the video where it will answer that particular question should the student need a bit more help. So this is again a really good tool. You can add as many questions as you like. So I've got a few over here. Dig deeper. I really want them to think about additional things, not just necessarily everything that's on that video, although the video does lend itself to thinking a little bit deeper. And then it introduced the discussion point, which I actually hope to reinforce, possibly as the starter for my next lesson, because that will be a brilliant way to actually introduce this into the lesson so the students feel that it's part of a sequence of events and not just a random set of events. And the homework actually has purpose. So when selecting the resources, always watch the videos. It's very easy to select a video, but not all the videos are from English speaking countries. So you might select a video with an English looking title, but find out that the person speaking isn't actually speaking in English. And the quality of some of the videos are not always good, but that's not a problem, as you can also select videos from YouTube. Like in this example here, I found a video on YouTube that I really would like to share with my students. There it is. All I have to do now is continue. Also, you must make sure that the students are aware of the source of this video. It's very important the students are made aware of copyright and intellectual property issues. Again, that brings into line the values and teachings that using this technology has. And students learn a lot from using technology. So simply continue. And here I can start thinking about the questions I'd like to ask based on the information from this video. So I might not ask them to watch the entire video. So why is this tool so good? It makes the lesson relevant, which is always important. It's engaging, which again is essential, and it's stimulating. It also allows you to gauge the students have actually watched the video, so you can actually monitor the students who have watched the video, their responses. And again, this is a really creative way to set a flipped learning lesson. Ed. Number one, this is a great way to engage the students with their learning, and that is a really important element of any blended learning strategy. Number two, capture the learning that has taken place. Again, that is really important. We must be able to see that the learning has taken place, and this tool provides that platform. And finally, a stimulating learning tool to embed within your blended learning strategy. I shared the use of quizzes with you in a previous video where I was looking at plenaries. However, quizzes can also be used for setting homework and used as your flipped learning lesson tool. This is a really great way to prepare students for the learning that will take place in the next lesson. So simply select one of your quizzes. And as you can see over here, it has an assign homework button. Simply just have to click on it. Once you're ready and happy, you have a week window within which to set the assignment. This is just for the purpose of this video. I won't be really assigning it to any of my students. And simply click on continue. You can share the link with one of your students. Otherwise, if I go back, I'm actually going to select a class and I can set it for a class in my Google Classroom, which is really, really good. And then that way I can leave them the homework in there so that they can complete it. And again, I can manage all of this and capture the information from their results. This for me is a particularly good way to prepare students for the next stage of their learning. Usually a mid-topic sort of flipped learning assignment where I will be able to possibly look at new learning with the hope of engaging with what they've already learned so far. So in that way, I can see how much support they need before we move to the next level of our topic. And it also allows me to gauge the learning that has taken place prior to the next lesson. And if there are any issues in terms of the analysis that Quizzes is able to generate, then from this I will be able to see where there are any misunderstandings and correct this possibly as a starter for my next lesson. Another very popular tool to use for your flipped learning classroom is EdPuzzle. This is a really fantastic website, and as you can see, it's very popular in my school. 15 members of staff in my school use this particular website. It's excellent. It's particularly good where you have large departments. Teachers can all share resources, and you can see how other teachers are using the resource. So again, that's a really good way. A great way is to network, and this really allows that to some extent. So it's really simple. You can choose a particular video. I've chosen this one here, and you simply, for this particular video, I've included 3 different multiple type questions, and then you just set this up for your students to use. One of the things I really like about this is obviously as I use the Google Classroom an awful lot for my teaching, it's very easy to assign to a class in one of my classrooms. So I'm going to assign it today for 7S. Just simply start date, I won't use today, so that's really good. You can actually schedule the start date, which again is really important. It allows you to plan things well in advance and then set the homework. So I'm going to set it for possibly Monday the 7th, and I'd like it handed in. I'm going to give them a good 2 weeks to complete this, and then I just say save. Simple and effective. So another benefit of using EdPuzzle, which I really enjoy, is the fact that you can duplicate the resources that you've actually placed within your area. One of the benefits of duplicating the video is that I can now change the questions by editing them in the edit mode. This allows me to differentiate my resources and share them with different classes. So based on their abilities, I can actually change the questions to make them either more challenging or easier depending on my groups. So this is a really improved tool for me as it allows me to do a few other things. You can also include voiceovers, which is also useful. The video may not be very clear, and this makes it a really good tool to have. And of course, the questions. The other thing I really like about EdPuzzles, if I go back to my classes and to content, you can see it's actually got links to popular channels. So you've got YouTube, so you can get any video from YouTube that you like. You've also got Crash Course, you've got Numberphile. So lots and lots of useful resources already built in, which means for teachers, like I said, we're really busy. So I've chosen this particular video. I like this video because it links in well with what I'm trying to do. And again, I can just assign this video to one of my classes, and it's really simple. So for this particular video, make sure the CC option, which is the closed caption, is available. That means that the text comes up while the person is speaking. So this is particularly useful for students who have trouble understanding what is being said and can read and pause the video to ensure understanding the elements that are difficult. As this is sometimes difficult to incorporate within a face-to-face lesson. Watching a video at your own pace makes it easier for the student to understand. They also have links while they're watching the video. Go to Google, find out the meaning of something that was particularly difficult. So flipped learning has a lot of benefits as long as the students do the work. Just in summary, why I think EdPuzzle is a really good tool. It enables self-paced learning, which is really important for the blended learning tool, as this is an important element that students should be able to spend their own time while they're working on a particular resource. Second, allows you to select a range of resources to share with your students from multiple platforms. Again, as a teacher, that is enormously helpful. Edit resources to meet the needs of a specific groups or whole classes by duplicating the resources and modifying the questions. Again, that is really, really useful. This enables you to personalize the resources that you create for your students. And finally, sharing and collaborating your resources with staff in your school. Really a time saving and something that all teachers can really benefit from.
For this particular homework, we're looking at storage devices. This question appeared in the 2018 exam paper, asking all about solid-state devices. So it's really important that you're very clear as to what a solid-state device looks like. Here is my example of what solid-state devices look like, just to make sure that you're very clear what these devices are. Now you need to just simply answer this question. Why are solid-state devices used, and why is this the most appropriate type of storage for the digital video camera? Looking at this image, it should be quite clear why we're using that particular tool. Think about this, it's very compact, it's lightweight, and it has no moving parts.
This shows an example of how I've linked a video I've made myself into my worksheet for my students. So I've simply explained to the students what we're going to do. So we're looking at storage in our next lesson. I just want them to simply watch this video. The video I made is now embedded within this icon, and I've just simply included some questions that I'd like them to complete before we start our next session. This will help me to then understand and develop the topic about storage. All the resources that we create don't actually have to be made by ourselves. Another practice that you can take for your blended learning strategy is to turn it onto the students. So for this particular example, I'm just sharing with you one of my students' work for one of our lessons, and simply she prepared a presentation, really well presented, clearly well researched, and once this was complete, she included some questions at the end that she wanted to pose to her fellow peers. This is a really good strategy and something that can be turned around, and another great learning opportunity for the students. So it does not always have to be the teacher always doing all the work. We can turn it around and make our students work sometimes. I hope you found this video useful, as I've tried to provide some insight into how I use flipped learning with my students. I would just like to finish with comments that students have shared with me about their experiences of working from home with flipped learning. One of the comments is that they can work from home at their own pace, and this is really an important element of the blended learning strategy. They're able to find information from places on the internet, and they can be far more creative as they have more time. They have more time to spend on the work and that they really enjoy, and they take more time to finish that work. And usually the end product is really, really far more detailed than normal work within the classroom. And finally, they're able to get help